Hello, nice to see you.
Hi,
Welcome,
freut mich.
friends, to another video conversation. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Eva Maria, a nice lady that I've known since 1975 or so. How old were we then? I know
Very, very young.
I was 25. You were probably 20.
21.
Are you that much younger than me?
I was born in 55. Let me see.
Okay. Okay, yeah. So, your name is Eva Maria, and let's just get started. We kind of have the questions. I wanted to start with like you telling me about your background, because when we met, we didn't talk about our background, and I don't know if you knew so much English then. Like,
Yeah,
for me,
I knew quite okay English,
oh,
but
okay,
I think we never had time to sit down and
yeah,
talk about our background, our
no, of course
story.
not.
There were always so many people. We were always so busy. You with your children and me.
Yeah,
I had a baby too.
yeah,
And just with all the people.
yeah. And both of our first daughter's name is Naomi.
Right?
That's cute.
And also, you have a Esther and you have a Miriam, and I have
Yeah.
a Miriam, and our Naomi is called Naomi Esther.
Oh no,
And
I forgot
after
that.
long, we've been friends such a long time, and our children are friends too. And this is
Yeah.
very amazing, very
Yeah.
special to me.
We were taking up all of the girls' Bible names.
Right.
So, okay, so let's start. Where were you born? Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Munich,
Okay.
just yeah, in a normal family, and I always lived in Munich
Okay.
when I was a child. And yeah, I think when about this was starting the hippie movement, maybe in the early 70s, there was this whole revival sweeping over from America, and
Yeah.
uh, I started, to question the normal lifestyle and
Yeah.
started searching for freedom, love, peace,
Yeah.
and I was a hippie, just my hippie background, just as you.
Were you I mean, did you get influenced by that from somebody else or at school, or did your parents kind of have, a background like that? You never
No, I
know.
think it was a rebellious time where we
Yeah.
just rebelled against everything. And my
Yeah.
parents were quite conservative.
Uh-huh.
And so I think all my friends were like this. And
Oh
so
yeah.
this was just like a wave.
Yep. Was this in school? You're talking about like
It
high
was in
school?
school, yeah, in
Was it a
school. Mhm.
gymnasium or a
Yeah, in
Realschule?
gymnasium, yes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And
Uh-huh.
we just wanted to live different, and we were asking for the meaning of life, and we looked at the last generation, after the war, they just wanted
Mhm.
to rebuild
Yeah.
Germany again, and
Yeah, that was important.
Wohlstandsgesellschaft, the
No.
how do you call it in English? If you just look for, I don't know.
Well, I mean, even in the States, I grew up in California, and even though the war hadn't happened, that was the big booming time of,
Yeah,
modern or building and
right,
fashion and, everybody.
right.
Well, I mean, of course, thousands or millions of Americans also had, suffered, during the war. So
Mhm.
everybody was like rebuilding their lives and the cities
Mhm.
and wanted to have fun and earn money and have nice houses. And
Yeah, and so this was the difference, with the hippies. We thought back to nature and
uh-huh.
find the meaning of life, maybe in
Yeah,
spiritual things or in drugs or in free love and things like that. So I was kind of in this movement, like all my friends, and
that's
then all of a
amazing. I
sudden,
mean, like quite a few friends from school.
yes, yes, we were
Wow.
influenced. We were listening the same music as
Yeah,
you
so what kind
were.
of music were you listening to?
well, the Doors, yeah,
Ah,
Peter, Paul and Mary. I loved America, Crosby, Still, Nash and
oh yeah,
Young, and all these, yeah, all these Joan Baez. You know,
oh
we
yeah,
admired Woodstocks. There even were some small festivals in Munich in the area or in
yeah.
Germany, and we all went there. I saw
Like
Led Zeppelin. Maybe when I
you
listened to your
did.
podcast, maybe we've been at the same festivals, but we didn't even know each other.
Well, we never, my sister and I, when we first were in Germany, we weren't in Munich. We were
Right.
at a festival in Aachen, and we were at the Led
Fehmarn.
Zeppelin.
There was up in north. We were driving up there then and going to these festivals, to these big ones.
Oh, well, the only festival we were at was in Aachen.
Ah, okay. I think that it wasn't there.
And then when I went to Berlin, that was to see Led Zeppelin, and that was just their
Mhm.
concert,
Mhm. Yeah.
So I always say if it wasn't for Led Zeppelin, I wouldn't have met Thomas.
Yeah.
Because
That's cute.
I mean, I was 19 and my sister was 17, and we
Mhm.
kind of had a vague plan of traveling around in Europe. But
Right.
Berlin, I mean, West Berlin, we didn't know anything about Berlin or that the country was divided or nothing.
Mhm.
But at that festival in Aachen, there was some guys from Berlin who said, "Oh, you
Mhm.
know, you need to come see Led Zeppelin." So we're like, "Okay." And at the travel agency, they was like, "Well, you need to fly," so
Good.
we had some travel money in those days.
Yes, you had.
So, but that's amazing that you had a few friends. I mean, for me, in high school, I only had one friend
Mhm.
that we were the same age and in the same grade, and we would,
Mhm.
go to music concerts. We went to lots of concerts and at the Fillmore, and like you said, Back to Nature. We went to Big Sur and these kind of
Mhm.
places. But
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, and I was in such a, like you said, you were probably also just a normal conservative family and parents and
Yes.
everything. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the only thing that I know where I got it from was the music influence,
Mhm.
mainly the Beatles,
Mhm.
because they were talking about all of this spiritual stuff.
Yes, yes. Yeah, I listened to the Beatles too. You know, I had some of these LPs
Yeah.
or the little singles in those
Yeah.
days.
Yeah. Oh man. So what did your parents think of those developments? Were you do you have a brother, right?
I was the oldest, and I
Okay.
was the yeah,
Uh-oh.
I influencer of my
Okay.
yeah, brothers too. My parents were divorced then,
Oh.
and my
Oh.
father was much around, and my mother was overwhelmed with these rebellious teenagers
Oh.
of her. Poor my mother. Yeah, poor
Oh
mother.
no. Like what kind of things that were for her rebellious? I mean, did you do things that weren't allowed?
Well, we many times we didn't go to school. Um, we spent nights out, and she wouldn't know where we were.
Oh.
We were yeah, we were just thought now we are grown up and live our own lives.
You
And
mean like at 17 or something?
yes, say 15, 16, 17, around this
Oh,
age. Yeah. Mhm.
okay.
Yeah. My brother
Okay.
started smoking when he was 11.
What? Smoking
This was
cigarettes?
just, we were just, maybe we were bored or whatever. We just tried
Mm-hmm.
everything what there
Mm-hmm.
was coming along.
Yeah. Well, that kind of reminds me then of Thomas growing up in
Hmm.
West Berlin, because they
Hmm.
started young with
Yes,
smoking and I guess
yes,
mainly drinking beer and
yes,
then marijuana or hash,
yeah,
they called it and stuff.
yeah,
So were you also in circles where there was
yes,
drugs going around?
yeah. We're just experiencing. And yeah, the more I tried, to experience life, I
Yeah.
felt the more I lost it.
Yeah.
I thought, I'm looking for happiness. I'm looking there and here, there. I try everything, and I really felt that you know, sometimes even I was young, I felt very old and very, how can I tell it, numb, you know,
Oh,
from trying many things.
yeah,
I wasn't depressed, everything, but it just, you know, if you try everything, if you do everything, you've tried it and it didn't satisfy you.
yeah,
This is a bit like the Rolling Stones song, I Can Get No Satisfaction.
yeah,
And it was like this, you know, you try everything and it doesn't, you know, it doesn't make so much sense, or
yeah,
doesn't help you, or doesn't feed your soul. And this
yeah.
is how, when Jesus came in, I met my husband. Now my husband, it was a guy then with very long hair, and I asked him if he would have anything to smoke, and he said, "No, I have something better." And I thought, "No, I'm not so into hard drugs."
Oh,
But he said, "Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life."
okay. How
And
old were you then?
I was almost 17. I was 16,
Okay.
and uh, and and I thought, yeah, okay, he's on a trip somewhere in another
Had you
sphere.
ever heard
And then
anything like that before?
no, and so he invited me to a small congregation of a Mennonite church.
Hmm.
And I went there, and there was in a small basement of an Reihenhaus, of these townhouses, and
Yeah.
there was a very straight preacher, and there were a group of young people, and normally
You
I would
mean
have this,
straight? You mean straight by not having long hair and stuff?
yeah, conservative, and normally I would have despised, because I was very proud and arrogant and very
Oh,
cool. But I saw something in their hearts, what I was looking for. And there were these 4 or 5 hippies who had met Jesus before, and this has changed their life. They told me that they are not smoking dope anymore, and
was this at
they
the at
stopped.
this meeting?
This was at the meeting, yeah.
Okay.
And this Mennonite preacher and family, you know, they had just gathered a whole lot, maybe 10 very, very old people. You mean every over 30 were old to me, but
Yeah, of course.
they were in the 60s and 70s,
Oh,
and they
okay.
had been praying for all these young people, young
Okay.
folk they saw, and they knew, you know, all these young people, they were, you know, not living a very happy life, or they're on the wrong path to death. And so they
Yeah.
were praying, but then they were very shocked when we all came along, you know. And I he was preaching, this young pastor. Well, he
Um,
was maybe
didn't you say
30
didn't you say
already.
he's American?
And no, this he was a Mennonite German.
Oh, okay.
And so I started off and on going to this church, and at night, you know, I had this theory, or when I was a child, I was believing in God. You know, I was Catholic, and I had very good religion teachers. We have
In
religion in
school?
school, Catholic,
Yeah.
yes, and somehow I wanted to love God and serve God. But then around, you know, 11, 12 years old, many things happened, and there was this stream, God is dead. And I
Oh,
always
yeah.
thought, well, if he's dead, then maybe he was alive once more, but he's not relevant anymore, because
Right.
people told me, you know, the Bible is a storybook, and everything what you believed before is not true, and things like that. So I slipped away from this childish faith.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then again, when I heard and I saw something in these people, even though they were totally different, and they were not very appealing to me, I saw there was something. And then, you know, in those days, I walked a lot alone at night.
Okay. You
And
mean like going
I
on the
just went for
S-Bahn
walks,
or
or when I was at a festival or at a concert.
okay.
I walked from Marienplatz to where we lived. This may be 2 hours,
Oh,
very alone at night. This was
where
just
were
my
your
thing.
friends?
Well, sometimes the friends walked with me, but they don't live in the same area like me. So we
Yeah.
walked half the way and then we split.
Oh, wow.
And so I walked and I looked at the sky and I said many, many times, God, if you're there, please let me know. And so, but I felt like there was.
Were you thinking that, or did you actually speak it out?
I spoke it. But
Oh.
I felt there is a distance between me and God, and
Yeah.
there is something I cannot come to. Somehow there is a gap.
Yeah.
And then one time, I was invited to a Jesus People meeting. This was Jesus People Americans from, I don't know even where they were from, but they lived close to Frankfurt.
Okay.
And they came and had some kind of evangelism.
Okay.
And there was a meeting and he was preaching and he said, I was alone there at the meeting. Not with my friends, not with Frank or the other guys who became my friends, who were Christians already. And so he asked, if you want to give your heart to Jesus now, he's the one, he's the bridge, he's the way, the truth, and the life. This exact same what Frank told me the first time. And without him, you cannot come to God. There is something which is in between you and God. And so I thought, well, if I die now, and my friends who all told me God is dead, they cannot help me. But if God is real and I don't try it, then I'm stupid. So I thought, okay, I go there and give Jesus my life. So I was the only one. There were maybe 300 people. I was in the very back.
At the meeting.
All the way through this whole congregation.
Okay.
And I was the only one standing in front.
Wow.
I looked at all these people. And then this American guy, he said, okay, do you know what you want? And I said, yes, I want to open my heart to Jesus. And then we kneeled down next to a harmonium on the floor. And I gave my life to Jesus. And I thought maybe it's like rockets or firecrackers or like
fireworks.
Use fireworks, use drugs, something happened. It didn't happen. I was a bit disappointed when I said amen. But then I looked around and the whole world looked totally different. And I could see that that something had happened in my inside. And it's like, what the Bible says, I was born again. And it was so radical that even at school, when I went back to school, a teacher came to me and said to me, can I talk to you? And I said, oh, what I did do again. And then he said, you look totally different. What happened?
Okay.
And I said, yeah, that's Jesus. I asked him to come into my life. This teacher, I have many stories. He started crying. And
was
then he
said,
a
religion teacher or?
No, he was my German teacher. He started crying. He said, I experienced the same thing 10 years ago at Billy Graham. And I totally forgot about it.
That's
and
amazing.
Then I met with him a couple of times because I didn't know anything. I just knew I gave Jesus my life and this was it. But then now I come back to you when you had a similar story and there weren't that many young hippie Christians or Jesus people in Munich. And when we heard about you and your group, we were totally thrilled and we wanted to meet you and,
So, but you weren't married yet.
So I was married then.
We came in September 75. When did you get married?
I got married in October 74.
Oh.
So I was married then when we met you. But when I gave my life to Jesus, I wasn't married.
Yeah, yeah. Should we try that picture that you have of you and Frank?
Oh, okay.
I think it's so cool with your long hair. You had such long hair. Oh my gosh. And he did too. Can you show it?
Oh, I haven't. I don't have it around. I have it on my phone.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So we have to do it maybe next time. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, we can do that. You don't have a print of it?
I have it in my album.
Oh,
I have to
in your
take it out.
album. Yeah, yeah. So, we came, you were talking about that we met. So we came in September and we moved into that big house in Trudering that I've already been talking about it, on the podcast. We moved in there in October 75. And so how did we meet you guys?
Well, we met through a man, Terry, and he came to America from Kansas City, you told before in the last two ones.
Yeah.
And he met us through many different Zufälle, we call it occasions.
Yeah, coincidences.
Coincidences, yeah. Okay. We started a Bible study group, and our goal was to reach people for Jesus, because we had so many friends who were looking for life in the
Were
wrong
you
direction.
asking him to help you start a Bible group, or had you
No,
already started?
when we met, we just said, "Oh, let's do it together." Everything was not so complicated. We had the same goal,
Exactly.
and so we did it together. And I think he met you, and at St. Boniface, this charismatic meeting. And then in the beginning, we had different Bible studies together. And I remember a baptism we were baptizing some people, in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. And we did this together as our small group. We had no name, I think, in those days.
Were you, like, when you started getting together with Terry, for example, were you speaking German or English? Your Bible study? Was the Bible study in German?
I think it was in German and English, because we had some English speaking people, and it was a mixture. It was not so, it was also a get together, we were eating. And I remember that many times we met young people in the street who were runaways or drug addicts, and they didn't know where to stay. And we all said, "Oh, you go to Trudering. We know them. You can you can sleep there."
That news got around like wildfire.
Right.
And I think, it's sad because, and it's for sure still like that today, that, there were various church groups, and you would come across young people or whatever kind of people maybe that were living on the streets, or somehow kind of burnt out or with drugs or some crisis, and they had nowhere to go. And the crazy thing was, when we started, I mean, we had room for 30 or 40 people, but we were planning on it being for our second team that was coming. We had no idea how quickly, people would be. So somebody would say, "Oh, we just met this young woman. She doesn't have any place to live.
Right.
She's in trouble. Could she stay with you?" And I mean, it was like, in one hand for us, I'm thinking of the word in German, überwältigen. It was always a bit like
overwhelming,
but I mean, of course you're going to say yes. And then you're thinking, well, maybe she or he will be gone by the time the next ones come in, So because I remember, like, that's why I asked about your Bible studies in the beginning, because we then started doing we were doing Bible studies in that house. And in the beginning, Peter and Gregor were teaching in English, and we were all talking in English. Then we had some German people. So either Thomas would translate for them, or he started learning then, to do the Bible study. But it was always this mix constantly with the German and the English. So, I mean, that you guys were mixed into that too, then, of Terry being American.
Yeah.
Were there other Americans that you knew?
Our leader, Terry, he learned quite quick German.
Okay.
But still, I think, still we had people from America coming and teaching, then somebody translated. And this is how we learned to speak English.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's kind of, I think, how Thomas, because he was usually then the translator in whatever
Mm,
situation, that's how it helped him learn the Bible
mm,
in German,
mm.
and he had to like, I mean, I have some of the old tapes where he's speaking and I can tell, oh, he's using funny words, he's using
Yes.
American words instead of
Yeah.
German Bible words. But yeah, so like you sent me a photograph of a Bible study group with, you said, at the American Army base, because we also had contact with people out there. Um, who was that? I mean, how did that develop?
Well, I think if you're American, you always find another American. And so I think it's through Terry. But I wasn't
Uh-huh.
there. I was never at the Macrocason. You couldn't go
Oh,
in there if you hadn't a visitor's passport or things like that.
yeah, yeah.
So I think Terry was in there, and then the people who were working there, they just came out, and we got to know them and be friends.
Uh-huh. What, they were army people?
They were army people, yes.
Yeah,
I
of
think
course, that's right.
not
They were living
soldiers,
there.
but maybe working there as a computer
Yeah,
specialist
all
or
different types of
yeah, yeah,
professions were there.
yeah.
Yeah, plus like hundreds and hundreds of apartment buildings and everything.
Right.
Everyone who lived there. Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Well, I see we have about 10 minutes left. How should we wrap this section up for today? Um, did your husband Frank, did he have anything to say about those early days?
Well, he said he admired you, the Truderinger. You know, I was ready to move in with you because I was so
Oh, wait,
fascinating.
I've got this thing here. Yeah, sorry.
Again, shall I repeat or not?
No, it's okay.
Um, but he was a bit scared of you because he felt you were very radical.
Oh,
And yeah, because yeah, the way how
because
you
we were
lived,
living
you know, with
together?
40 people sometimes in one house, this is a lot of sacrifice. And we were young and we took in people also. And it,
Yeah, I
you know,
know.
on the one side, it's you know, it's what Jesus says, you know, share, you know, love
Yeah.
and go out and make disciples. And how can you make disciples if some people don't live with you? I think that's the best way
Yeah, we
to
tried.
to learn.
Yeah.
And yeah, and you know, over the years, my husband Frank and Thomas, they became very good friends. You know, they were co-pastors. You know, it
Yeah.
developed again. You know, Agape, our church grew. Your group when church grew also, and
Yeah.
we always had a heart for unity. You know,
Okay.
and because that's also what Jesus says, you know, if we are one, then
Right.
the world
World will
notices
know.
that we
Yeah.
love one another
Yeah.
and that Jesus was sent.
Yeah.
And so this was always on our heart. And, you know,
Yeah.
there are many, many occasions where we did church services, festivals
Yeah.
together. Feiert Gottes Heiligkeit. I'm sure you will tell
Okay.
us all about in
Let's
future.
let's close for today. And then
Okay.
the next time we talk, we can get into more details.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you so much for telling me your story. There's a lot that I didn't know.
Okay.
And I just want to remind everybody to check out photographs on Instagram under Van Dooren Kristine. And so we'll both say bye for now.
Bye. Thank you.
Yeah, great to see you.